The next topic we're going to cover will be the hardware architecture, so we will have a look in terms of each of the board contained inside. So generally, as I mentioned just now, for the MBTS, generally we divide it into BBU, RF, as well as antenna. So we will also discuss about how they get the power from the fan unit and the SLPU unit. Now, how does the BBU looks like? So this is the hardware structure for the BBU. Generally, in our Huawei, we got two types of BBU, which is BBU 3900 and BBU 3910. So of course, the BBU 3910 is the better, the upgrade version. So the appearance for both of the BBU is exactly the same. So let us have a look here. For both of the BBU, generally, this one is the slot number. Notice that in one BBU, you can put in a maximum of 11 boards, and the board number is already fixed. Starting from here, it's slot 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then at this side, it's slot number 16, 18, and 19, which is illustrated here. So each of the BBU got their own serial number. All the serial number is actually allocated at the side of the BBU here, which is the ESN number. And for each of the BBU, each of the slots, we will allocate a specific board. Now, let us have a look what is the type of board we can put it inside the BBU. Now, generally, inside our BBU, we can support either 2G or 3G or combination of both, which means that inside one BTS, you can support 2G only, 3G only, or combination. So notice that inside one BBU, slot number 16, which is this slot, it's always fan unit. So which means that at slot number 16, it is mandatory for us to put a fan unit. Whereas at slot number 19 here, we put a board that we know as a UPEU. So what is the function of UPEU? Based on the name itself, UPEU stands for Universal Power and Environment Monitoring Unit. So which means that where the BBU get the power, they get from DCDU. But the DCDU plug the power to which board? They plug the power to this board, UPEU. So which means that this board, they receive the power and they send the power to the remaining of the board inside the BBU. And then the slot number 16 and 19, it's mandatory for you to put the board. On the other hand, number 18, this slot, it's optional. Optional, which means that you can leave it empty or you can put the board inside. And the remaining here, and the center, you can see here, you generally can put in 8 different type of boards. So what type of board that you can normally put it inside? Notice that at slot number 5, 6, and 7, these 3 slots we mainly allocate for the management board. Management board, which means that they are the manager inside the whole BBU. So depending the version that you are using, if you're using 2G, you need a 2G managing board. If you're using 3G, you need a 3G managing board. If you're using both, you can use a mixed mode of managing board. So 5, 6, and 7, we allocate for the managing board. And the remaining part here, the remaining slot, you can actually put in the board as allocated assigned here. And notice here, here is the typical configuration of the BBU. Normally, we will put the fan at this position, UPEU at this position. Number 18 is optional. 5, 6, and 7, manager board. And then the remaining slot here, which is slot number 2 and 3, normally we will put a baseband board. What is the function of a baseband board? The baseband board is the board that connects the BBU to the RF. So this one is to show you in case you are using a mixed mode, okay, GU. Notice that in this condition, GU, which means 2G and 3G together, you can put the manager board, which is the UMPT board at this position. Now, let us have a look at the managing board, which normally we put it at slot number 5, 6, and 7. Now, in case, let's say your base station is using 2G. 2G, the managing board we know as a GTMU board. GTMU board, you look at the size of the board, it's slightly bigger, which means that this managing board, actually they occupy 2 slots. They occupy slot 5 and slot 6 together. So there is no way for you to separate the board because the board is one big board and you cannot cut it into half. Now, what happened is that for this board, you notice that number 5 is the one that at upper position here. Number 6 is at this position here. So what is the difference between slot 5 and 6 here? If you notice, number 5, normally, it's the slot that we use to connect to the transmission equipment that connect directly to the BSC. Whereas the upper position here is the slot, the port that we use to connect to the RF. Notice that at slot number 6, which is the one that connected to the transmission equipment, you got a variety of port. So what is the function of this port? Let us have a look here. Starting from the first one, ETH. What is the function of this port? This port is used for local connection, local commissioning. Let's say, for example, if you want to bring your computer and connect directly to the managing board, you connect to this one, ETH port. How about the remaining? This one, FE0, FE1. The function of FE0 and FE1, these 2 ports is used for connection to the transmission equipment. Let's say if you are using electrical port, you use FE0. If you are using optical to transmission equipment, you use FE1. And in case you are using E1T1 cable, then you use this port. And the USB port here is for upgrade purpose. Let's say, for example, if you want to upgrade or during commissioning, so what happens, you can plug in the USB inside here. This one, it's the function of all the port at slot number 6. How about slot number 5? Slot number 5, you notice there is a total of 6 ports here. So what is the function of all the port here? The function of the port at slot number 5 here is used to connect the BBU to the RF unit. And notice that we got two types of GTMU board, GTMU and GTMU-B. GTMU-B is the upgrade version. And when we use upgrade version, of course, they will have an extra function. What is the extra function of GTMU-B board? This GTMU-B board, they facilitate the interconnection, which you no need to have a cable, but you can connect directly to the UMPT board. So this one is to show you the indicator on the GTMU board. So let's say, for example, you see the run indicator blinking is green color. Green color, if keep on blinking, which means that the board is actually normal. Okay, the blinking, the board is actually normal. Let's say, for example, if you see the indicator run, it's steady on the green color, generally means that they got power supply, but the board is faulty. Okay, and then if you see the alarm indicator is on, which means they got alarm, and then the active indicator, if you see the green color on, which means that the board is active. This one, it's provided that you are using 2G. Let's say, for example, now I'm using 3G. So 2G, you got a manager board. Same goes to 3G. So 3G, you also got their own manager board. The name of the board we know as WMPT. So W generally stands for WCDMA, Main Processing and Transmission. So since this board is only process the 3G, so let us have a look at the board here. The board here, it looks similar to the GTMU board, except that GTMU board occupied 2 slots, but the WMPT board, they occupied 1 slot only. And notice that this 1 slot, it's actually the transmission slot. Notice that the down position of all this port is actually used to connect to the transmission equipment. And where we put the WMPT board, normally the WMPT board, we will put it at slot number 7. Let's say slot number 7 is fully occupied, then you can put at slot number 6 and so on. And what is the function of all these ports here? It is similar like GTMU board. The first one is ETH port, is used for local connection and local commissioning. And then you got FE0, FE1. These 2 ports, the function is used to connect to the transmission equipment. In case you are using electrical port, you use FE0. In case you are using optical port, then it's FE1. And then if you are using E1T1, you use this port. And in case you want to upgrade or do a USB commissioning, you can plug it inside here. And notice that for the GTMU board and the WMPT board, the indicator is at this position. So if you see the run is green color blinking, which means it is normal. If you see the alarm is red color on, which means they got alarm inside. And then if you see the active, it's green color, which means this board is active. So this is the thing that I mentioned just now. Green color means it is normal and so on. And let's say, for example, if your machine is using both 2G and 3G, but you don't want to have 2 separate boards, you want the manager board combined together become 1 board, then you can have this board, UMPT board. What is the function of UMPT board? Is the managing board for U stands for universal, which means this single board can support 2G and 3G management processing together. So notice here, maximum board number mandatory. It can work in active and standby, but normally we will let it work in active. Not many operators will use the standby. So what is the main function? As I mentioned just now, is a managing board. And notice that the port here is exactly same like the WMPT board. And notice that for this UMPT board, they also occupy 1 slot only. Starting from this one, it's FEGE. And then this one is FEGE as well. Notice that for these 2 ports, one is for electrical, one is for optical. So in case your machine is connected directly to transmission equipment using electrical port, you use FEGE0. If it is optical, it's FEGE1. If it is E1T1, you're using this E1T1 port. And what is the function of this port? Notice that here we label as CI. So the function of this port is for inter-BBU connection. Let's say you want to connect 2 BBU together. This port is required for you to connect it. And notice that 1 port is missing here, which is the local commission port. Let's say I want to bring my computer connect directly to this UMPT, but there is no port for you for direct connection. So what happens is that here, USB, you need to plug in a USB adapter and then connect directly to your computer. So this one is the indicator that I have already taught just now. It's exactly same like the WMPT, the GTMU. Now, after we discuss about the managing board, next part, let us have a look at the baseband processing board. Now, what is the function of a baseband processing board? Baseband processing board is used to connect the BBU to the RF unit. Let's say, for example, connect to the RFU, connect to the RRU. So inside one BBU, how many BBP board you can put it inside? You can put in a maximum of 6 BBU board inside. So we got a lot of baseband processing board. So the example illustrated here, WBBP, W generally stands for WCDMA, which is the 3G. So this type of board is to process the baseband that is for 3G. So notice the main function here, process uplink and downlink baseband signal. Now, how does the WBBP board looks like? So let us have a look here. Now, this one is the WBBP board. Notice that WBBP board, we got a lot of version. We got A, B, D, and F. So each of the versions have different number of port, as well as the capacity that they support is also slightly different. Notice that the WBBP A and B, they got 3 ports only, which means that this board can maximum connect it to 3 different RRU or RFU. But if you look at D and F, they got 6 ports inside there, which means that the WBBP D and F, they can connect to 6 different RFU or RRU at the same time. Generally, for one WBBP, they can actually support around 6 cells. So this one is to show you how does the WBBP board looks like, and then the indicator at this part, and the indicator at this position as well. So if you see the CPRI, this one is the CPRI. So all the light is actually at this position. Okay, notice that you got transmit and receive light. So what happened is that if you see the green color is on, means that this port is working normally. If you see it is red color, means something is faulty. So here is actually showing you what is indicated by the light here. So this one is for WBBP board, which means support 3G only. Now, let's say, for example, I want my baseband processing board support 2G and 3G together. So what board should I use? You got a UBBP board. So this one U stands for universal, which means that they can support 2G and 3G together. So the maximum board number you can put inside BBU is 6. So this one is to show you the appearance for our UBBP board. So notice that the appearance for the UBBP board is actually similar like the WBBP board. The only difference is actually at the labeling part, this part. From the WBBP, they changed to UBBP. And then they got extra one more port here, which is the HEI port. So what is the function of this HEI port is actually for inter-BBP board connection. And notice that for the BBP board here, you got 6 CPRI port. So this 6 CPRI port is connected to 6 different RF module. And then same like the WBBP board is actually support for 3G. But UBBP board is actually support for multiple generation, which means 2G plus 3G plus 4G together also can. And notice that the capacity of the UBBP board is actually illustrated here. So we got different type of UBBP board starting from D1 to D6. And the capacity of the UBBP board is actually depend on the number of TRX, number of CE, and then the number of the cell that they can process. Now, we got next board, which is the UTRP board. What is the function of UTRP board? UTRP board, we got another name we known as an extension board. Let's say, for example, inside my main manager board, main processing board, I need 2 optical port. But inside my UMPT board only got 1 optical port. So I need an extension optical port. So if you need any extension port that belongs to the main processing, you can have this board, UTRP. UTRP is the extension board. So let's say, for example, if you need extension of E1T1 port, then you can go for the E1T1 UTRPA. UTRPA is the extension board for the E1T1 port. Let's say I need extra optical port. I'm not enough of optical port. I need extra optical port. So you look here, optical port, you can go for UTRP2, which means they provide 2 extra optical port. So in another word, UTRP board is an extension board. And how about this board, UBRI? UBRI board is in case, let's say you got 2G. Okay, 2G. So the GTMU board, they can support connect to 6 different RFU for 2G. Now let's say, for example, if you got not enough of port connected to the RF, you can have UBRI board. UBRI board is the extension board connect to the RF unit. And we got another type of board we known as USCU board as well. What is the function of USCU board? This one is actually a clock board which support the GPS clock. Notice here, USCU board, it provides port for external clock. So majority of the operator nowadays, they're actually using the IP clock. Okay, so this USCU board is actually some optional board if you have already got the IP clock. And then the fan board is located at slot number 16. So this one is the fan board for cooling system. And the next board will be the UPEU board. So what is the function of this board? I have already mentioned just now. This board is located at position number 19. The function of this board is to provide the power to the BBU and they monitor the external alarm as well. Now, this one is the physical appearance of the UBBU board. So based on the name itself, this one is a Universal Power and Environmental Monitoring Unit, which means that this board actually supports the power supply and then connect to the external environmental alarm. So let us have a look here. This one is a UBBU board. You got a power supply at this position. This one is power on and power off. And then here you got 4 ports. So the upper 2 port here is the external alarm 0 and external alarm 1. So the external alarm here is actually connected to the sensor outside. So what happens is that one port can connect to 4 different sensors. So you got 2 ports here, you can connect to 8 different sensors. The sensor here I'm referring to, let's say for example, you got a door sensor, temperature sensor, and so on. And after that here you got another 2 port, which is Mon 0 and Mon 1. So Mon 0 is the monitoring port. So what is the function of this one is actually the port is connected to the monitoring devices. Example of monitoring devices, let's say for example the environmental monitoring unit, the temperature control unit, the fan monitoring unit, and so on. So here is to show you the things that I have mentioned just now. The first 2 ports is connected to the external alarm. One port can support 4 external alarm. So you got 2 ports here, which means that they can support a total of 8 external alarm. Another 2 ports here is for internal alarm monitoring. Now, if let's say for example, inside my network, I got a total of 10 external alarm, but one UBBU board can only support 8 external alarm. I need another 2 extra. So if you need another 2 extra, you can have this board, UEIU. UEIU is to provide extra port for your external alarm. Notice that the appearance for the UEIU board is exactly same like the UBBU. The only difference is that the down portion here, the power supply portion here is missing. They only contain the upper portion, which is the external alarm part. This one is the example of the monitoring subsystem that I have already explained to you just now. So example of the monitoring system, let's say for example, you got PMU, you got the environmental monitoring unit, you got fan monitoring unit. So all these monitoring devices is cascaded together, and then finally it is connected to here, which is the BBU. So which port they are connected to is connected to the Mon 0 and Mon 1. So let's say for example, some fan is actually damaged. What happened? They will send out the signal to your BBU, and from there the BBU will trigger the alarm. Thanks for watching.